Today, let's discuss the psychology of back pain. And I know it's going to come as a surprise to a lot of you that chronic pain in the back, as well as the neck, shoulders, hips, and even knees, are typically not mechanical problems to be cured by mechanical, as in medical means. They are, at their root, psychologically induced. Remember that old saying, that guy's a pain in the neck? This phrase can actually be quite literal. Chronic back pain is connected with your feelings, your personality, and the problems in your daily life. And if this is true, then doctors treating back pain as a medical problem is completely wrong. Traditional medicine focuses only on the body, as a machine to be repaired like a car, while the real problem relates to what makes the machine work, the mind. And that's why doctors are typically unsuccessful when it comes to treating back pain. But don't get me wrong, persistent back pain is a real physical pain. No doubt about that. But the discomfort is brought on by psychological tension rather than structural abnormalities of the spine or a muscle injury. This is a really important point because it means that yes, you do have real pain in your back, but it's completely harmless. And that's fantastic news. The patriarch of the modern mind-body movement is Dr. John Sarno. He was a professor at New York University Hospital and also practiced medicine in New York for almost half a century. He coined a diagnosis for psychologically induced back pain that's located in the soft tissue, and the name of this diagnosis is tension myositis syndrome, or TMS for short. Now, the word tension in tension myositis syndrome refers to emotions that are generated primarily in the subconscious mind. These tense feelings are the result of a complicated interaction between our minds and the outside world. Many of these feelings are unpleasant, painful, or even embarrassing. They are in some way unacceptable to society, so we repress them. And we do this subconsciously. The types of feelings that are often repressed are emotions like stress, anxiety, guilt, shame, fear, and even low self-esteem. There's an automatic human response to bury these bad feelings instead of expressing them and dealing with them. Now, it's the repression of the emotion, not the emotion itself, that is believed to be the most important factor in the creation of back pain. What I'm talking about here is not a small percentage of back pain. It's almost all of it. Which means, for example, that herniated discs do not cause back pain, but repressed anger does. And it takes a while to get your mind around that. But if you look at the results generated by the pain management industry, or lack thereof, it's not a stretch to say that they must be doing something wrong. So there are two types of emotional stressors that lead to chronic back pain: internal and external. External stressors might be financial pressure, an unfulfilling career, caring for elderly parents, or an illness. In fact, the stress of having back pain itself easily becomes the biggest stressor of all, creating a negative feedback loop that keeps you trapped in pain. But it's actually internal stressors that seem to be the primary trigger. Back pain sufferers often say that they have a stressful life or a stressful job, and this may be true. But what we consistently discover is that people prone to back pain are hyper-responsible about their lives, their relationships, and their jobs. They are overly conscientious about doing everything perfectly, and they're very determined to succeed. And typically, they're more critical of themselves than others. And it takes one to know one. I'm a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser myself, so I know of what I speak. And it's not just you or me. To wrap up this episode, let's take a peek at a couple of case studies. I had a client a few years back whom we'll call Melissa. Now, Melissa had terrible back pain for years, even though her external life looked really good. She apparently had a loving husband, she had her own successful company, and she lived in a beautiful home overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge in Sausalito. The problem was that Melissa and her husband had grown apart over 30 years, and she didn't like her business anymore. And what she really wanted to do was move to Santa Fe and become an artist. Even though everything looked good on the outside, she actually needed a total reset. And so she stopped second guessing herself and worrying about what everyone else would think and did just that. Melissa divorced her husband. She sold her business and then she moved to Santa Fe and started painting every day. Now, what do you think happened? The back pain that had been Melissa's constant, though very unwelcome, companion for 10 years disappeared almost immediately. And I don't think that's really a surprise to anyone, except maybe her orthopedic surgeon. I had another client we'll call Jason. Now, Jason was a 35-year-old interstate truck driver who had a father who was not a good person. In fact, Jason's father had mentally and physically abused him his entire life. Jason had gone to see his father where he was serving time in prison every week. He gave him money during his incarceration, and now that his father was out of jail, Jason continued to support him financially. But no matter what he did, Jason's father was never satisfied. He never showed appreciation, much less caring or love, for anything Jason did to support him. So Jason had a lifetime of built-up repressed anger that was causing his back pain. It wasn't the long-haul trucking. Now, with a little guidance, Jason realized that just because this man was his biological father, this didn't mean he had to take his abuse any longer. So he took control. Jason told his father off, finally. He told him to get out of his house and never come back. And so when his father left, you can probably guess what accompanied him out the door. Yep, Jason's back pain also departed. Good riddance to both. So here's the bottom line. In one way, back pain is more complicated than most people think because it's mainly a psychological condition. But in another way, it's actually a lot less challenging when you have the right information. And no chiropractors or surgery is required. I hope this video has been eye-opening. Back pain is almost always treated as a medical condition when in reality it's almost always a mind-body problem. I'm Laura Thornton. I have my back pain and so can you. Now before you go, check out what we call the back pain escape plan. This will help you determine whether your back pain is emotional or not. And we also share our 3-part process for healing stress-based back pain in just about 30 days with no medical treatment of any kind. It's just a 6-minute video and you can find it at calmyourback.com. See the link below this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.